Greetings, adventurers. I'm Durgeff. Today we just wanted to do a quick stream, a little podcast with our content creators, highlighting some of the reboot changes that came out pretty recently. Today on the deck we have our partnered content creators, Guiido, Live, Sebs, and Slynations. So if y'all want to unmute real quick, Guido, do you want to just give a short introduction about yourself and the class that you play?
Sure. Hey, what's up, everybody? You guys probably already know me. My name is Guido. I play a Succession Berserker and Awakening Berserker.
All right, and Live?
Hey, it's Live. I'm in Apex. I play Awakened Warrior, and PvP a lot.
And Sebs, go ahead.
What's going on, everyone? I play Awakened Sork. I'm Sebs. I'm in the guild Flow, and I've been a day one Sork.
And Sly, go ahead.
What's up, you guys? It is Slynations. I play a Musa, big boy Musa. I come from the guild Flow. I PvP every single day of my life, and you can catch me on Twitch.
Right. Well, we wanted to bring you guys just a little short stream, kind of talking about some of the reboot changes and hear a bit from the community, from our content creators. And they have some great tips and tricks, as well as some insight into the reboot changes. So let's go ahead and jump in game. Right, so we got three of us here. Unfortunately, Sebs will not be joining us in the game, but we're just going to have some pretty casual, just 1v1s PvP with these guys while we talk a bit about some of the changes. So, check them out. They're looking pretty cool. So if we want to just go ahead and kick it off with Sebs. So I know that you play some Sorceress. I was wondering how you feel about the reboot changes and how they've changed a bit of like how your class functions, both in sort of PvP and PvP. Sorry, PvP and PvE.
Yeah, I mean, I think aside from Sork alone, I think every class has, experienced dramatic changes to not only how they're supposed to play, but, it's gotten to a point now with reboot. Each class, each player has to completely adapt to the new playstyle, and the meta is completely shifted just due to the, mass increase of just damage that every class is doing. With Sork specifically, there's a lot of cool changes that, definitely caught my eye when I was reading the patch notes, and, it's been kind of eager waiting for the, the patch to go live for console specifically. And after messing around with it since the launch, there's a lot of great changes that have really caught my eye and, definitely, exceeded my expectations with, certain specifics and certain abilities that were changed in its kit.
Right, makes sense. Yeah, there have been a ton of changes to all 17 of these classes that got reboots. And as you said, there's been some really interesting sort of changes to the meta and matchups specifically, so I can definitely understand that. Now, I know, as you were saying, you were sort of digging pretty deep into these patch notes. I understand you had some thoughts on the pretty significant changes to resistance and slows, as well as some other stuff that you saw in the patch notes. Was wondering how you feel about those changes sort of in the PvP meta, especially in the sort of the 1v1.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't stress it enough. I think, slows and resistances is something that I've been covering for, not even a matter of weeks, but, years now at this point. And ever since, I became partnered with PA, I think one of my biggest, differences that I tried to make for the game was class balance and PvP balance. And for me, that started with slows and resistance, because I think that's something that a lot of people overlook. But when you break down and realize how important, the actual factor of slows and resistance are to PvP, it makes you really, really think that, that is the foundation aspect of where balance comes from. And the slow changes, after reading them and, reading the patch notes and actually testing it, I found that, the slow changes in specific, they were really nice because, it allows you now with the cap changes to still play the game when you fight in bigger raids instead of being like slow to the point where you can't even do anything and you're sort of out of the fight. And I know Guido and I, have definitely, seen very, very eye to eye when it came to slows and resistances because, it's kind of the slow aspect, before reboots, it was kind of cheesy. And as soon as you, applied a slow on someone, you were pretty much useless. And nobody wants to feel like they're playing a game and ability hits them and they become absolutely useless to their teammates or their guildies that they're fighting around. So resistance changes, definitely something that I'm a huge fan of. I think we're definitely headed into the right direction when it comes to resistance. I don't think it's there yet, but with upcoming tweaks and upcoming changes that could be added and implemented, I think we are definitely headed in an overall better, PvP balanced meta. I feel like now, with resistance changes, it's super nice because you can actually impact your rate of CCs with counter building resistances. Worst case, it's still the same as before and you don't decide to counter build resistances, but it finally gives the incentive to do so.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And obviously glad to have people really deep diving into these patch notes and figuring out how this stuff is really going to change the metagame. Because these reboot changes were really something that has been a long time coming. And it's something that we definitely had been hearing from the community and wanted to make sure to shake things up a bit. So glad that the community has been really doing a deep dive into the changes and into the patch notes. And that kind of feedback is great for us. Now, I understand you are a big Siege player.
Yep. I am in the guild Flow, and it's, people will argue it's, top 1, top 2 Siege guild on console NA. So, I think Siege is probably one of the more, exciting things for me as far as when it comes to PvP and small scales 1v1s as well. So it's important.
Right, yeah. And so I had a question, especially with a lot of these changes, how do you think that the sort of meta, like which classes are picked and sort of the meta of Siege has really changed within these reboots? I mean, obviously a lot of these classes have gotten to some pretty significant PvP changes. How is the meta really looking in Siege, or how is it sort of shaping out to be?
So prior to Reboot, I think it was very, very caster heavy, caster front for console. I feel like the more casters that you had, it definitely carried weight for a lot of, classes that weren't necessarily as useful prior to Reboot, such as like Archer. I don't know. So for me personally, I think the biggest difference now after Reboot is diversity. And playing a game that has this many classes, I think it's important that every class, whether it's in a Siege scenario or a Node War scenario, feels like their class brings value. And I think prior to Reboot, a lot of classes did not bring value. And with this new meta, with how reworks have been pushed out, I think it's less reliant on one standout class. So the classes that I would say that are very, very strong right now, I would say I think casters are still important, but I don't think they are the X factor for large scale. I think they're still a super high tier pick, but the classes that I think that are breakout performance and must lock picks for right now, I would definitely say Rangers are at my number 1 lock. Rangers, Archer's in a really, really good spot. It's definitely overlooked, but in the right hands with the right gear, I think it's a very, very strong pick. So Rangers and Archers, because I do think the meta now, with damage being so high, I do think that range kind of carries the fights now. And now Zerk, I think Zerk is probably at its most insane point that it's ever been. The health pool that it has is ridiculous. It has melee damage, and it has, Titan Blow is pretty much one-shotting people in super armor. So it's definitely an insane class. So I would say the top 3 picks, in my opinion, like right now, I would probably say Ranger, Zerk, and then I would probably even throw Sork up there as well. Sork and then Archer.
Cool. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Sort of the range changes. A lot of these changes coming out to these range classes. And, you know, you did highlight Zerk. Guido.
Yep.
How are you feeling about Zerk these days?
So I'm gonna be honest, and I know that actually a lot of Zerkers will actually agree with me on this. But a lot of us, you know, we love the awakening changes. Like Seb said, Time Blow is absolutely insane. It made actually an ability, and just like a lot of other classes with the reboot, it made abilities that were literally bottom tier to useless to actually usable now. And Time Blow's a clear example of that. But I would say mostly more than anything, a lot of us are hyped about Succession Zerker, because in my opinion, I think that it got probably the most rework out of any of the classes. Every ability that you use literally gives you Beast Your Rage, so you're always in beast form.
By the
And
most
it's
reworked,
really
do you
cool.
mean just like the most changed, or?
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's gotten the most chance. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. And so you're saying gives you rage?
Yes. So every skill that you use, any beast ability gives you Beast Your Rage for 20 seconds, and pretty much you're basically fighting constantly in the fight and melee range to keep that up.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much 24/7. It's really nice.
Yeah, you know, having Succession Berserkers back sort of in the metagame and even at large scale is really interesting, because I know we have been seeing so much Awakening Zerker, especially in Siege.
Right.
But having some more just interesting ways to utilize the Succession Zerk is really cool. Now, so how are you feeling about Zerk? I mean, you touched just briefly on Zerk in general, but how are you feeling in sort of the small scale and in the 1v1?
I think that a lot of the power that Zerk had, especially with Seismic, you know, obviously that got toned down, which was much needed. I agree with everyone. It was definitely overtuned for sure. A lot of that power got moved to the large scale, I think, parts of Awakening Zerker's kit. So I think his 1v1 has definitely gone down a little bit, but he gained a lot of more tremendous power for large scale.
Cool. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So I know you all, chat, I know that you all have some opinions on your classes. Now, we understand that there's a wide range of classes that people are trying out, and we want to make sure that y'all can have the best outfits for your class. So we are actually going to be giving away some outfits during this stream. And we do have, for the 17 class reboot, we do have 17 outfits that we're giving out. So if you go ahead and do !reboot in chat, we're going to be giving away, let's go with 3 of those right now. So go ahead, use !reboot in chat, and you will be entered to win one of 17 premium outfit boxes. There they go.
Yep.
And streamers, I mean our partners, y'all are welcome to enter too. If you do win, you are obligated to give it to your community. I'm not letting you guys turn that into crons.
Oh, come on, man.
Fight. Yep.
Everything else in this game is grunts. Come on.
You know how hard it is for me to get crons? I'm literally homeless. Like,
Literally
are you kidding me?
homeless. No, I'm forcing you. You have to give it to your community.
All right, let's win it. Let's win it, boys. Let's see my RNG.
All right.
If anything, it's gonna go like my Black Star attempts. It's gonna fail.
And
I
Wisdom,
think
if you're
that's
there, how long are we running this first giveaway for? Okay, cool. So we're gonna have this going for maybe about 5 minutes. Go ahead and remember to use !reboot and you will be entered. While we're doing that, we're gonna keep this going. So, live, how you doing?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm, doing fantastic. Now, I understand you have been promoting a lot of Warrior content. How are you feeling about some of the changes to Warrior?
So overall, I'm excited. Warrior got a lot of increased AoE, not only damage, but just speed, mobility, things that made us just more essential to group fights. and just 1v1s. I think for us, we needed these changes just to make us more viable. Warrior already is a good 1v1 class, but it really kind of lacked in group play. You were just kind of like a slow bot, just throw a grave dig and get out. But now you can actually apply pressure, move, and put damage on your opponent. So definitely excited. Nothing really bad to say about the reworks. Or reboot, I'm sorry. I think overall it made us probably from a A tier class to a S tier.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and how about the rest of y'all? Like, how are you guys feeling about fighting warriors?
Honestly, in my opinion, I don't find it much more different than how it was before, but I feel like I have to be a lot more cautious because of the amount of damage output that they're gonna be doing now.
I agree. I feel like they're doing a lot more damage. Like before, when you would fight a warrior, like they would have to get you with the combo, and then they would like extend the combo, right, to really like kill you. But like nowadays, like the warriors that I fight are just basically like they're doing really decent damage, and like they can just trade with me without like having to CC me.
Yep.
And I feel like that's really, really good for the class.
Yeah, and have
Makes
you
it a lot more
been seeing that
colorful,
as well live? Just like being able to not have to necessarily extend these combos super far, just being able to actually put down damage when you need it.
Yeah, so definitely I did a couple of scrimmages when reworks first came out with Guido, and I definitely noticed that I didn't have to extend the combo as much or re-CC him, which is really good because in group fights that means I can apply the pressure, apply damage, and move on to my next opponent. So definitely felt just really good overall, not having to stay there and trying to make sure I finish off the kill. I could just kind of keep moving forward as I go.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I feel like that's sort of how a lot of classes have been feeling, especially classes that really felt like they needed to extend combos really far, or they're having trouble in large scale, that kind of deal. We are definitely in sort of damage meta now, but it does mean that in these 1v1 scenarios, these classes that have previously really sort of struggled in finishing kills, it does mean that a lot of them are sort of able to, you know, if they get those CCs, that they're able to get additional CCs, finish off their combo, and finish off their opponent. And I think that that is, you know, really, really nice for sort of the metagame in this 1v1 scenario.
I agree.
100%.
Yeah, now, you know, Sly, I know I haven't meant to forget you or anything. I did notice that you were being a little quiet there, so I do want to come talk to you. Now, I know that Musa is a controversial topic right now.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So I did want to give you the first shot at addressing how Musa's doing right now.
Musa's that type of class, right? It's very versatile in the terms of it does a lot of damage and it's very fast. It's also very, it's very easy to pick up. It's one of those classes that, like, once you get the knack of what's an SA, what's an FG, what you can cancel, you can pretty much pick up the class very easily. I feel like it's one of those classes that requires more of positioning in the sense of, like, large scale and stuff like that, and knowing what you can engage and what you can't engage, and like what you would have to, like, maybe like you would have to hit the flank from maybe the left side, or maybe hit the flank from the right side. Like, it's all a position class, right? I think Musa, with the reboot that it got, it addressed certain issues with it not being able to SA trade other classes. I think they went they went above and beyond, obviously, with its trade capabilities, and now it's like, I would say it's one of the best melee classes in the game, especially for trading. It's very fast, like I said. Its kit was improved actually phenomenally. There's obviously a couple of, like, you know, stuff that still, like, needs some work, but, like, I feel like they've headed in, like, they've, instead of just, like, taking a step, they've jumped, and it's a really good jump. They landed, you know what I'm saying? Like, Musa is, like, it's looking really, really good. It's looking like a lot of fun. I can also say the same thing for Succession. I know I don't play Succession too much, but the damage is there. It looks like the fundamentals of the class have stayed more or less the same. There is a little bit of things that need to be, like I said with Awakened Musa as well, a little bit of an adjustment there. But I feel as a whole, I think Musa's it's a good step in the right direction. I'm in love with my class again. You know what I mean? I went to go play Ninja, which is my alt character for the tag, and I tagged my Ninja like way back when tag first came out on console.
Yeah.
And it was a class that I was interested in playing because I was maining Musa for so long. I didn't get to try any other classes in the game. But now, like with the reboot system, it like basically brought like light back to my Musa. It's actually like it's really a lot of fun.
I can definitely hear your passion, man. And that's an awesome feeling for all of us as well, to have people come back to their class after the reboot and really just have a lot of fun with it again. Now, I do understand that there's a lot of people that are going to be tagging, re-rolling onto Musa. Do you have any tips or, additional info for those kinds of players that are really sort of looking to break into the class now that they feel that it's super strong?
You mean, so for Musa specifically, right?
Yeah.
I'd say the reason I feel like a lot of people have been like tagging a Musa, making a Musa, is obviously there was like a big hype with Musa because it was dealing like a tremendous amount of damage. So right now our current engage, right, isn't too difficult to master. Our current engage is like pretty much a chase, right, and then go into Fiery Crevice, right, and then Fiery Crevice, because it's doing such a tremendous amount of damage, followed up by putting the core on it, getting the protected crevice with the bound KD, you're basically getting a CC and you're getting your damage out there. It's a successful engage throughout everything. If you hit them from a proper angle, you can actually pull people out of their FGs, which is another like tremendous feat. And I think like people seeing this and just watching Musas blaze across the field at like tremendous speeds, I think that's what really like brought people to like want to tag the class and want to play it. I think that's something like I think that's always been what Musa should be shining at, was speed. Like personally, that's why I first started playing Musa, was like someone told me, hey, you want to play the fastest class in the game? Play a Musa. Then yeah, throughout the month, throughout the other classes being released, I felt like Musa kind of lost that spark, but with Reboot, like it came back in a blaze of glory. It came back in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. I do think a lot of people are feeling that Musa is really, really strong right now. And I am just getting notes, actually. We have announced the first 3 winners for the exclamation point reboot. Those first 3 outfits have gone out. Our official Black Desert console account will whisper you if you have won. So be looking out for that. Now, jumping back into Musa, and again, all 4 of you, feel free to jump in literally at any time if you have any comments on anything that we're talking about. Again, we're just trying to keep it pretty casual here. So, do any of you have sort of thoughts on how you're dealing with the current state of Musa? Like, have you seen a lot of, higher level Musas coming out and, finding them in 1v1s? Have you guys have maybe some new ways to deal with Musa now that it's super, super strong?
Actually, I do. Because actually we were actually just doing me and Sly were doing some scrims the other day. I can tell you that the best counter to Musa, and Sly will even agree with this, is range. Shooting them down with range is literally the best thing that you can do against the Musa, because you are not trading within it in a melee range. It's just not happening. So if you can slow it, if you can break it down from range, it will be too oppressive for them to handle. They will leave, turn the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah, and for me as a warrior, me and Sly just did some damage testing. It's really just building up your DP. If you don't, then unfortunately, it's going to be the movement. Warrior initially has a small burst where it can move short distances very quickly. Where Musa's, let's say, a marathon sprinter. You just don't allow the Musa to get behind you. Those modifiers are a little bit too much for you just initially. So the biggest thing is try to keep your frontal guards in front of it. Try to trade essays and slow them down. I personally use Grave Dig to balance out the fight and slow them down as much as possible. and they're really not that much of a hassle. It's just when you're fighting multiple, then that's when it kind of gets out of hand.
Right. Yeah. I think that's that's the general consensus, right? You got one Musa, you slow stack him, it's not going to be too much of an issue, right? You got multiple Musas moving at you at the speed of light.
Right.
you're probably in for some trouble.
Yeah, definitely scary. So yeah, I mean, again, the sort of changes to these reboots have really changed how a lot of classes play and changed how they perform especially in this 1v1 scenario. I was wondering, Sebs, you know, for a long time Sorceress has been this class that can dance around, evade damage, both in the 1v1 and in the large scale. How are you feeling about some of these some of these rebooted classes coming into these 1v1 scenarios? Are you finding that you're more caught off guard by some of this, or are you still able to, be able to evade pretty well?
I think with the new changes, I mean, it doesn't really change much as far as survivability goes. I think, Sork has always had its ability to dance damage. Before it was only able to dance damage and, you're not killing people with iframes is how I always used to word it. But now with the increased protections and mobility it's gotten to gap close on opponents, with the new changes to how Rushing Crow works, which is now kind of reworded to Wings of the Crow, I think it gives, Sork an extra utility in its kit to finally be able to gap close on targets. I mean, before Reboot, Sork, everyone can say it, you can kite a Sork for days. I think, if there's a class that you can kite, it's Sork. I think Sork had by far the worst mobility when it came to chase down, and I think now with Reboot, Wings of the Crow having added frontal guard to the class, to that skill in specific, has definitely increased its protected mobility. And now the jump forward iframe is also now an iframe, when before the forward jump iframe was not an iframe. It just consumed Night Crow, but it wasn't an iframe. I think it was a good change to make it so that it can, not every single class in the game can just run away from it to the point where you run out of stamina and then you just get CC'd because you're just playing impatient. So I think it was a really great addition that was added to the class. But even aside from mobility and gap closing, I think the two standout changes was a little bit more protected damage in Pre-Awaken, and that was when they added super armor to Shadow Eruption. I know it's used heavily when it comes to float combos in 1v1s or even like small scale 1vx type stuff. But also now seeing protected Pre-Awaken damage on a fished CC skill that is probably used, very consistently, widely across, all expert Sorks. I think it was a much needed addition to the class, because before, if you were fishing through CCs, you had a pretty large gap fishing for those CCs. I know you can just sit there and iframe in the middle of a ball or in the middle of a group, but you're not really throwing out damage and killing people simultaneously. So you got to kind of, before you had to kind of choose whether if you're going to be on the full defense or the full offense. But now with that change, I think, Sork is able to flip that switch, at any given time now, which is definitely more versatility added to the class.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. Now, Sly, how have you been feeling about facing some Sorks, though?
Ooh,
have you been able to catch them off guard, get them out of those iframes?
Sometimes, yeah. I feel like the cooldown on our shouts being reduced was actually very beneficial for our class. Also, the fact that they removed the stamina cost for it, because it used to cost stamina. So like when you would be chasing around trying to fish for a CC with the shout, you'd be caught using stamina, and then you'd have no more stamina to chase anymore. so you'd just be caught standing there. So I feel like just that was a really good addition to the reboot for Musa. And then like also being able to like kind of like dash around with Fiery Angel being protected with SA. I think that's actually like really beneficial for like disengaging from a Sorc. I think Sorc's ability to trade right now is really, really strong, especially granted that they have iframes. So I think it's still pretty much a toss-up. Like it's still pretty much a tough fight for Musa, but it's still doable. I think it's still doable. You just have to really, I guess, outskill your opponent, right? Like it all comes down to skill, and you getting a good catch or him getting a good catch. I feel like it's a 50-50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely makes sense. What about the our other partners here, Guiido and Live? Have you guys been fighting some Sorcs?
So, I will say that Sorcs definitely still are slippery, but overall, I think that they did get a bunch of quality of life stuff that makes them class more viable than just relying on a GRJ. They still can put pressure. They still kept their 1vs capability. I don't think they lost their identity at all. I think the biggest thing with the class is it kind of made it, they spread the damage out overall, so it didn't rely, like I said, so much on just that burst damage from a GRJ or Crows, which is really, really impressive overall just for the players, because that's the big thing you want. You don't want to just, become a bot, I guess, and just wait for that one ability to come off cooldown. So definitely think Sorc overall is in a good state.
Yeah, so for me personally, when I fight a Sorc, I'm going to be honest, the matchup, in my opinion, for the most part, hasn't changed. But I do feel like that with the lowered cooldowns that Zerk has, I feel like I have a lot more tools that I can use at my disposal against them. But because of the iframe change that Sorc got, I don't feel like that really anything that I could do can really punish them. It's, or more so, comes down to luck, or if I can get a lucky stiffen off.
Yeah, like a good catch, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I feel that, yeah.
You remember those scrims?
Yeah, absolutely. Fighting fighting one Sorc is one thing, right? But like fighting multiple that's just it's like the whole thing with the Musa. You're not having a good time. You're just not having a good time.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. All right, I am just getting news. We are gonna go ahead and give away 3 more of these outfit boxes. So once again, make sure to use the !reboot in chat. And we're going to be giving away 3 more of these premium outfit boxes. Looks like 2 of them on Twitch and 1 of them on the YouTube live stream. And we are actually on the YouTube as well. We haven't forgotten about you guys. But moving into how have you guys felt about some of the classes that aren't necessarily represented on this podcast specifically, like our strikers, our rangers, those kinds of classes?
So
okay. Yeah, go ahead.
The one that I want to talk about personally is Tamers. Tamer is one of those classes where I feel like it's a good grinder. PvP wise, I think it's still good 1v1, but it's not viable large scale wise. The reboot did do a lot for it, and it did kind of bring the class back alive. But like let's say striker, where I've got guildies, everyone's tagging a striker because the grind is just so juiced and so nice and so easy. It's like you'd be crazy not to. So I think like Ranger and everything like that, they did get a nice reboot. I don't think any class got a bad reboot. Even Shy's got a great reboot. I just think it comes down to getting gear and actually learning the ins and out of the class.
And do you have any sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Do you have any sort of tips for people who are trying to potentially learn a new class, or are they new to the game specifically, like where they could find some stuff?
So As far as that, so of course YouTube is always a good guide, but honestly, I know me, Guido, Sly, yeah, we all PvP and we meme and stuff, but come into the discords of the streams, ask questions. If we don't know it, somebody in there will, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction. Um, I think overall BDO itself, just this is kind of getting off topic, has a great community. Even though there's a lot of trolls and memes, the community is there to help you, and that's what we stream for, is to help you guys and get you pointed in the right direction on your class and builds and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure to hit these guys up if you have any questions about the classes that they're playing.
Just to pick off from what Live said, I think the biggest thing that people can do if you're a new player or someone that's returning to the game that used to play BDO in the past, and if you're coming back, my biggest point of advice, just due to how the meta has shifted completely, if you're trying to play a new class or if you're coming back to your old class, the biggest thing that you guys can utilize is your class specific Discord. I can't stress it enough. Each class has a fact channel in their Discord, and it will give you a complete rundown and breakdown of all your skills, abilities, what skills CC, and even gear progression. How to go about getting specific gear gains, your crystal guides, all that good stuff that you're not gonna just learn on your own. It's always better to learn from someone that's already experienced it, or learn from someone that is already an expert in their class. Because I think the best teacher, when it comes to this game is, going towards someone that has had more experience on the class than you do yourself. You can only teach yourself so much on this game, and learning from others is definitely something that, you can't get enough of when it comes to this game. And learning from fighting a vast variety of different classes.
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
Yeah,
I think,
actually. Oh no,
go ahead.
No, I know that you wanted to say something before, so go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to just touch on what Live was kind of saying a little bit. With the whole classes being with the whole reboot system, everybody's pretty much got a positive reboot, right? I think for everyone, if I can actually give a tip, find the class that you really want to play, especially with the tag event, because if you find the class that you really love to play day in and day out, you're just gonna have so much fun playing the game. Whether it's grinding, whether it's life scaling, whether it's PvPing, whether it's small scale, large scale, you're just gonna be in tune with the character. You're gonna love your character just because it's something that you've never experienced before. Let's say you were a caster before, but you were always interested in playing a flank class, like a ninja or a Musa. Tag that class, have fun with that class. Especially now, give it a shot, right? I feel with this whole event, there's no barrier. You know what I mean? You can basically explore your options. So give it a shot.
Right. And of course, there's always trials as well.
Yeah, the
Exactly,
trials, the tag system. And one thing I think a lot of players, and this is just what I had to learn and I'm still learning, is don't focus on other people's gains in the game, whether it be your friend, your guildies. BDO is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Yes, you want to get geared as quick as possible, but take your time, avoid that burnout, and just enjoy it for what it is, because it's honestly a beautiful game. I think it's everyone's saying, it's going in the right direction. It's just you got to be patient with it, but definitely one of those things where you want to enjoy it and just have fun. That's the biggest thing people forget, is just have fun and enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. Have you guys been looking at anything that you're thinking of tagging? I know some of you mentioned the striker, especially for grinding. Have you been looking at any of the classes that have been rebooted and said wow, that new playstyle, new abilities look really interesting. I really want to try that out. Tag or trial or anything like that?
I'm gonna be honest here. When I saw, I don't know how much you can attest to this, Live, but when I saw Warrior reboot grind, I was blown away at how much it's almost competing with Striker. I don't know how accurate that is, but from the videos I've seen, it seems absolutely insane. The grind. I've always wanted to know how good it is in terms of trash numbers.
So when I went to Sakraya before the reboot, I didn't enjoy it. I was like, get me out of here. After the reboot, you can't get me out of there. It's so smooth. Everything's fluid. Um, and for me, the class that I want to try the most, honestly, and people are going to say that I'm a shot killer or a shot bully, is I actually want to try shy. I actually want to run around the skateboard and throw the boomerang.
You're trying to pop ollies.
And see how that feels. I'm actually a shy advocate now. So
Shy
that's
advocate.
crazy.
Protect
Wow.
that shy.
An advocate.
I'm done. There is actually one thing I wanted to say to kind of go back on in regards to newer players. Obviously, PC people are very experienced with the classes, but the best thing that you can do is to hit up the people that main the console, the creators, the content creators that play console, because there is differences from PC, and you need to understand those things. There's a lot of people who get on console and they're familiar with like the PC guide and stuff. They're like, wait, I can't do that here. So you have to consult and look at the videos that are being made for console and the streamers that are doing content for console. That's like the best advice that I can give. Ask around, see who's making content. There's a lot of people who don't have their names out there, but they do make the content.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Do you want to talk a bit about some of those differences from the PC console? It's possible we have some PC players in here, or some people who have yet to try the game. They're trying to decide, hey, I got my console, got my PC. Which one do I want to go into?
Yeah. So, quick example is our ring menu differences. A lot of people come on console and they're kind of like, well, how come I can't instantly activate this ability? So. That was the thing, especially for Zerk with Flamebuster spam back then, before it got changed in the reboot. And the biggest thing with it is that you weren't able to spam it. So when that came here, we had to adapt. We had to learn differences, and you had to learn how to play around it without having that. And that's just like kind of an example. And that's like that for every class. I mean, it was like that for Tamer, Musa, Meiwa. Etc. A lot of the classes here didn't have those kind of things, and the lack of click to move. You gotta just learn how to time and use your abilities correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think we are going to go ahead and do some more codes now that we have some time. We're going to be giving away, I think, another 3 outfits. Once again, we're giving away 17 outfits during this stream. I think we're going to give away 3 more. So make sure to use !reboot in chat, and you will be entered into a giveaway. And once again, if you had entered in one of the previous giveaways during the stream, our official Black Desert console account will whisper you if you have won. So definitely be checking your whispers as well. But yeah, it's good. Again, as I said before, there's a lot of people who are thinking about changing classes, thinking about re-rolling or using their tag to try out something new, and we got all these nice premium outfits. So make sure to try and grab one of those so you can be looking nice on your new class.
But by the way, I want to say that the reboot costumes, I want to say these are reboot costumes, are actually nice. The aura. I actually want to tag a Zerker and play it for that wolf costume that's going to come apparently.
Yes, sir.
I cannot wait for that. So shout out to PA for that. You guys are actually doing a great job, by the way.
Yep, the costume department. Yes, sir.
Hell yeah, we gotta make sure everyone's looking nice.
I'm not dripped out. All my costumes go to Cronstones.
Oh no.
Yeah, they all go to Cronstones all the way.
Come on. You gotta save up, buy a house. So
He's
you're not homeless anymore.
He's not. Yeah, I mean, he's homeless.
I literally live under a bridge.
So yeah, jumping back into some maybe tips for new players, especially people who are new to console, because as Guido had mentioned, there are a lot of sort of differences from PC. What are you guys thinking for sort of any general tips for you've just literally just spawned in, new character, nothing on the account? Like, what should your first priority be?
Okay.
Seasons.
Log back out. Go to seasons.
Yeah.
Learn and actually don't do the skip. The short version. Run
They
through the
can't
story.
if they're brand new to it.
Okay. Get
Yeah.
used. Okay. Get used to the game. Get used to the area, and then afterwards, actually, don't worry so much about the grind. Get used to the feel of the character. Figure out if that's something that you want to invest time in, and if not, then that's okay. Those first 30, 40 minutes aren't going to hurt you. Start fresh, and figure out what works for you. Um, that would be my best advice.
Yeah, that
For sure.
definitely makes sense.
I think starting with seasons is something that there's no reason not to, regardless of whether you're new or if you just don't have the gear to compete. I think starting at seasons will put you at that point where you can start entering that conversation of competitiveness. You get stacks from it, and you get some. If you're purchasing the Black Spirit Pass, it puts you in a position to get a lot of items at a highly discounted rate to kind of snowball you into that conversation of competing. Seasons is one thing, but I think more importantly is finding a class that you are it's to your eye, it's appealing. The animations are appealing because at the end of the day, this game is, as much as it's heavily PvP oriented, it's also very PvE oriented, and in order to progress in this game, it requires you to grind, and that's not something that if you're not able to grind, or if you're not having fun on the class that you're playing when it comes to PvE, you're going to set yourself further back. So I think it is important to playing a class that is good at grinding, visually appealing to play consistent hours on to catch up, and that's about it, to be honest. I mean, I think that's a really, really good entry point, and I think some good classes that you can start with in that category would probably be like Lon. I think Lon's a very insane class when it comes to grinding pretty much anywhere you want.
Absolutely insane.
Stuck Lon is absolutely insane. I think Striker's really, really good as well.
Yep.
I think Awakening Nova is good as well when it comes to PvE. However, you're kind of going to get, you're not going to have the most fun on it PvP wise until you get higher up in AP. But I think for the most part, two really, really strong, I would say the two strongest entry level classes, or maybe even three entry level classes that are good for grinding, I would say is number 1, Suck Lon, number 2, Awakened Striker, and number 3, I would probably even throw Awakening Musa in it. Even prior to Reboot, it's really, really good at low end grind spots and pretty good at, certain high end grind spots. And especially with Reboot now, Awakening Musa is definitely in that competitive conversation to put you through that entry point.
Yeah, I mean, I would also even put Guardian still there, man. I think that she's still really good for lower players who are trying to get into the game as well.
For sure.
And something that, like, I know that Sebs talked about, but like in live, but seriously, take advantage of the seasons. Like, you guys have no idea how much easier it is now to get into the game compared to when it was when we all started. And do all the quests, do all the rewards. I'm telling you, you're not going to regret it. It's going to help you so much from when you're going into the game.
Yeah, and I do just want to mention, we did actually on our Black Desert YouTube channel, we did have just a pretty short just getting started guide, and we did mention seasons as a good starting point for new players, because it does allow a lot faster progression, and it does sort of get you up to this specific set of gear where you can kind of break into the rest of the game, to be honest, and break into PvP. And we will stay tuned, because we will have a bit more in-depth guide on seasons coming soon. So, Wisdom, how we doing on reboot codes? Okay.
You guys are pumping these out like money, man. codes for everybody.
With Cronstones, we're going to the moon, boys.
To the
Cronstones. I'm telling you, Sly, if you win one of these, I don't want to see you turning it into crons.
I promise it won't turn into crons, not for me at least, but whoever's going to be using it will most likely turn it into crons.
Hey, well, we'll see about that. Okay,
Show up
so
on the
looks
TikTok.
like we have some more codes. So I think we're going to do another draw of 3 more of these premium outfit boxes. Once again, make sure to use !reboot. Type that in chat, and we will be getting back to you if you have one using a whisper from the Black Desert console account. So make sure to check your whispers. Don't be on Do Not Disturb or anything. And yeah, make sure to check those out. And don't turn them into crons, because we'll know.
Monka.
Yeah, what the? What?
Monka.
Stars End moment.
So I wanted to get to you guys about sort of any closing thoughts on moving forward. And I know a lot of classes are feeling really strong right now. And you've mentioned before sort of damage meta. Just sort of any thoughts that you had on like continual improvement is really what we're looking at. Is the reboot was sort of a not so much a reset, but it was a refresh, right? It was a reboot. It was making a lot of these classes feel better in the hands of the players that really loved them. So what are you guys really feeling like for moving forward? What would really help you out on your class specifically, or just the game in general?
So okay, for example, let me just envision this, right? Envision this. So I'm going to the large scale. I'm a Musa, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving, I'm dashing, right? Then there's something like in the distance, like out of my render range, looks like rangers and archers. They're all they look like stormtroopers in like a Star Wars movie, and they all have their guns literally pointed at me, and I'm over there trying to dodge bullets, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I would like
I got
it
this
if,
picture in my mind. Yeah.
yeah, I would like it if Musa doesn't get incinerated by that in like 0.2 seconds. I would like it if I could maybe possibly get more of a maybe a chance at life, maybe a little bit more, maybe more speed.
More
I
speed.
don't know what's going on there.
Hey, listen, Sly. All I'm saying is you started off saying that Musa was a positioning class. So if you're just getting rained down from afar, it seems like you should be positioning better.
True.
Damn.
True. Damn, you went there. True.
The Shy's calling you out.
You went there.
Speaking of
Oh,
Shy,
man.
Guido, I heard you had an idea for a combo move between Zerker and Shy.
What?
You talking about for like the future stream thing, or are you just talking about in general?
In general, I heard you had an idea for flying Shy.
Oh yeah. Something that I always thought was cool, because Hurlbis made the Tantu outfit for Shy as well as Berserker. So they've always kind of had like that friendly rivalry, the tallest and the smallest, right? So they're kind of like polar opposites, and that was kind of like the humor in it. So I've always wanted to basically, how Shies like do bongos. I wanted to basically like put the Shy like in the cannon as like a projectile,
In the Zerker cannon.
and then 200% shoot it up in the air like it's 4th of July, and then
Right.
just confetti. And then it just does like an AoE bongo that just like takes out a Node War base.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's like a RPG. Shy.
And do you think that'd really shake up the siege meta with some flying bongo Shies?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that would actually really
Shy
help. Would
flying
affect
in
it.
a rocket. What do you do?
Hops an ollie, starts hitting his bongos on his skateboard. Yeah, I think there would be a problem there.
Yeah,
Alright.
and then the Shy gets SA while it's flying with the skateboard.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll be looking into that for sure. Yeah. So I think looks like most people have gotten their outfits from the giveaway. Do we have wisdom? Do we have any more of those codes? Just want to make sure we don't miss any. Once again, we have 17 of these outfit boxes because of the 17 class reboot. Okay, sounding like we have our final 3 outfit boxes that are going to go out before we sort of close off the stream here. So make sure, again, to use that !reboot in chat. And we're pulling from both the Twitch and the YouTube, so make sure to use that. And we will get you a whisper to see if you have won. So I know, Guido.
Yep.
I know you have been planning something, a tournament maybe.
Yes.
I don't want to jump the gun, but I wanted to ask if you have some additional information that you'd like to promote.
I do actually,
Okay.
because it's going to be finalized actually by this weekend with all the full details and the sign-ups and whatnot. So pretty much for anyone who's been watching my stream in the past, from months ago, I've been wanting to do a tourney, and before actually the reboots were canceled for a little bit of the time, I got news of basically a proposition that was made from PA, and pretty much, I've always been wondering, I'm like, hey, how come console doesn't have these cool things from PC? So I think that they heard that, and basically now there will be a tournament. It will be probably either the mid of January or the end of January, week either 2 days before EUs or a week after, and it's pretty much going to consist of 6 of your best guild mates. You guys can fight it out amongst yourselves or choose whoever. And basically, 2 teams from 1 guild will be able to sign up, and you will compete against each other in a 3v3 trial tournament. And the prizes for them are absolutely insane, and it's never been done before on console with these kind of rewards. And it really does incentivize everybody to sign up. And I will, if it's cool, I could disclose the rewards, but pretty much.
Let's wait for the official announcement on that. But
okay,
I did just want to give you a little moment to talk about your tournament. Once again, this is an NA tournament specifically that Guido is going to be hosting, and sounds like we are going to be perhaps guest starring on your stream. So I think it'll be me and perhaps Armin as well. We'll see. But we're gonna have a good old time, have some fights. Make sure to nominate the best people from your guild to show up and really represent your guild at this tournament, because it is gonna be pretty big.
Are you gonna be commentating?
I mean, we'll see. It's either gonna be me or Armin. I think one of us may be hosting. We're not 100% on the details yet, but we'll be in contact for sure on exactly.
I know Armin's explosive, but yeah, I want to hear the shy commentate, man.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, man. And then for tournaments as well, for our EU folks, we did not forget about you. Zect and Lord X have been planning an EU tournament as well. That's going to be happening on January 23rd, which I believe is a Sunday. And so be looking out for the announcements on that, and be looking out on the Black Desert Console social channels as well. We will be reposting these announcements when it's sort of coming up to the dates that these are going to go live. So definitely be looking on those channels to find information about the tournaments, and definitely come participate. We're hoping to have some more people from the console space really in sort of the competitive PvP scene in tournaments, and it should be really fun. Now,
yeah, you.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna say, you lose absolutely nothing by not signing up. So I'm telling you, the rewards are absolutely insane, and you guys aren't gonna want to miss them. Mm-hmm. And eventually, when console gets Arena of Solaire, all of this is going to help you in doing these kind of these matchups, these small scale matchups. So it's very important. Make sure you do it. You don't lose anything by signing up.
Cool. Yeah. So
I think that's gonna benefit console.
Oh, what was that? Sorry.
I think that would really benefit console. I feel like that's gonna be like really awesome for the community.
Yeah, are you guys looking forward to sort of jumping into some tournaments? Are any of the rest of you attending Guido's tournament?
So, depending on the time frame, I definitely want to be in there. So me switching from PC to console, I've always wanted to get into the console tournaments. But if the time permits it, then yes, I definitely will be there, putting on for the Warrior community.
Gotta represent.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta represent for your guild.
That too. And Sly, you
Apex
gonna show
stand
up?
What'd you say?
Sly, you
stand
turn up as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, it'll be good to see you guys. And so I just wanted to ask then if you guys have any sort of closing thoughts. Sounds like we have all of our winners picked. Once again, check your whispers if you have not already for the Black Desert Console account. If they've whispered you, then you have won in an outfit. So we have just given away all 17 of those. But for the rest of you guys on the podcast, any sort of closing thoughts that you had for the community? Again, we had a reboot. We had a ton of, class changes, a lot of new things going on in PvP, got some tournaments coming up. Like, any additional closing thoughts from you guys?
For me, it was a blast to be here, and I think a lot of us covered a lot of different things that could be eye-opening to the new player and the returning player. So I think at the end of the day, the biggest goal for everyone here is keeping the player base at its utmost potential, and the value that all the partners are bringing. I think it's super important to collaborate ideas together with the CMs in order to make sure that continues to occur moving forward. But it was a blast to be here, so I appreciate all you guys, partners and CMs and PA, for making it happen.
I just wanted to say that it means a lot. A lot of you guys are here, and I look forward to seeing you guys hopefully sign up to the tourney. When RBF returns, I can't wait to see you guys there in Valencia and the Arena of Soler. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait for all the content that's going to be coming. Dude, this year is going to be insane. I'm telling you. I know that things might not have been on the best side of the grass, but right now, things are looking up for us. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
you don't want to miss out.
Well, thank you all for showing up and for agreeing to come on our stream and just have a bit of a chill podcast talking about the reboots and some of the things that you found.
It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And once again, for the rest of y'all in chat, check these guys out. They make awesome content. I know Guido has been memeing the crap out of our GMs, so definitely be checking out all four of the people that turned up today, as well as the rest of our partnered content creators. And thank you once again for tuning into the stream. And as sort of a nice gift for you all showing up, we do have a coupon for you all. So Wisdom, do we have that ready? All right, so make sure to use BDC Reboot Podcast. That is a coupon for 2 Summon Scrolls and 100 Ancient Spirit Dust. Make sure to check that out, as well as all y'all in the booth as well. This is a mass coupon for you guys as a thank you for tuning in. And once again, thank you all. I believe we're going to be signing off. So, Thank you.
Shout out to the TikTok, video TikTok, man.
Shout out to the TikTok, yes.
Yep. Make more. I love it.
Yeah, be checking that out too. More content come. And yeah, for this mass coupon, make sure to use that on the site. There are instructions in our beginner's guide on how to, I believe, in how to link that. Either that or on our website, there's instructions on how to link your account on console, and then you'll be able to use the coupon on the site there and get the rewards in game. So yeah, I think we're gonna close it off here. Once again, thank you guys so much for turning up, and thank you chat for being amazing.
Thank you for having us.
Anyways, see you all in the next one.
Bye.